Hello and welcome to another episode of Footwork Car Club. Today I've got a couple things to show for my absence and my lacking of producing videos. A long story, but work and life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness has kind of gotten in the way. And I've kind of taken a step back to reevaluate what actually is important to me. But a couple quick updates. Let me flip the camera around. Oh, peep the Mighty Car Mods merch. I think it's rad, but let me flip the camera. Big update for the Mustang is the engine is finally ready. I was hoping to get it for the Footwork Car Club metaverse or whatever. This video is being recorded over Martin Luther King weekend. I've done a few things. I've sanded down some surface rust and just painted it so it doesn't oxidize any farther. Very, very minor rust. But this engine is ready to be picked up, and I was trying to do it before this weekend, so hopefully it would be back in the car. All of the parts that need to go back are effectively there. I'm going to be using these heads, and look, I don't think I've ever shown you these. These came off of 2003. Look at how clean these journals are. Look at that. But this video is not about the Mustang. This video, I've got a new thing to work on. I have recently acquired, 2 months ago, this. It's a 1993 Honda CB750 Nighthawk. If you know anything about Hondas, these bikes will just run forever. This air-cooled four-cylinder is, in my opinion, the gold standard of reliability on a motorcycle. This bike mechanically is perfect. There really isn't much wrong with it in that regard. However, there are a few things cosmetically, like this. Just ignore that. The seat could use a reupholstery, but it is the upgraded Corbin seat. So these things are like in perfect condition. Vintage seats like that are like $600. They are pretty expensive. It's got a dent in the tank. I think this, I don't know. It's got a dent in the tank and it's been there for a good while. I've ridden the bike. It rides great. Really, really solid bike. It's got a Vance & Hines exhaust, which a period correct, because Honda people like Vance & Hines exhaust. A period correct Vance & Hines like this, 4-to-1, so you see 4 cylinders into one. That is also about $1,000. So I've already, if I just sell those two things, I've already broken even on the bike. But the big thing that I'm working on now is, as you can see, the gauges are not here because they are over there. Because this bike has the very stereotypical Honda Nighthawk problem where the tachometer doesn't work, and I will explain that momentarily. And I apologize if this heater is a little bit annoying to listen to. It's about 25 degrees in Nashville right now, and I have zero interest in being cold, so deal with it. But as I mentioned, my tachometer didn't work. So it didn't work, period, at all whenever I bought the motorcycle. What they do, and in Honda in the early 90s, it's kind of a weird thing, and I'll maybe put a graphic up if I can't explain it well. But you have effectively the tachometer signal. It is a voltage range. That's all it is. You have a little coil spring, very similar to like a clock spring that you would find in a watch or a steering wheel column, something like that. A plate that has a ground/power wire, depending upon your model, another spring, and then the needle that moves back and forth. Now with these two components, the signal wire and the power wire, or ground in some cases, what you will do is as the RPM of the bike increases, a voltage would also increase. The signal voltage would increase. And what that does, very similar to like a thermostat on a wall, when that is heated by ambient temperature, the spring inside a thermostat opens and closes to create a switch to tell your HVAC to, hey, I'm hot enough, or hey, I'm cold enough. You know, how that works is when voltage is run through, it creates heat, and that heat unfurls these springs at a given rate, okay? And that given rate is what moves the tachometer needle, okay? Pretty simple, pretty ingenious, but they have two Achilles heels, and those are the solder joints between the input of the tachometer signal and the output by the needle. Now, my output solder was actually fine, no issue, but the input solder, being 30 years old and Honda's cost-saving measures, was cracked. I went in off camera and I tried to repair the tachometer, and I was successful, I will say. I was successful in repairing it. However, the keen-eyed of you might have known, I bent one of these springs, and my minimum RPM is 6,000. That doesn't work for literally this bike redlines at 10,000. That is literally 60%, the majority of where you're riding at, unusable. So rather than buy a eBay gauge, which those gauges are like $400 on eBay because everybody with a Nighthawk needs one. Those gauges are like $400. And I might have run into the same situation and didn't really want to repair it myself again because I learned how to do it and I could probably do it better, but is to like, you know. So I went on, and all good ideas start at this website. I went on Aliexpress and I found these. These gauges are from a 1992 to 1995 or 6 Honda CB750 F2. Sorry, that's what it is. A CB750 F2. My motorcycle, that guy right there, is a 93 CB750A. The F2 denotation, as far as I can tell, and somebody can please correct me, the F2 notation means that this, or the other motorcycle, is the European model, okay? It is the Belgian, English, German, whatever you want to call it, model of bike. A little bit sportier frame. We were talking about the forks. Those guys are right up at the front. The forks on that bike are a little bit more vertical, so you get better handling, better turn in, while those are a little bit more laid back, so you get American highway comfort. But fundamentally, the mechanics, the engine and all that are the same, which is nice because, as I mentioned, the voltage at X RPM, at whatever RPM, they will also be calibrated the same. Excellent. That's what we need. We want an accurate reading. All of that to be said, the keen-eyed of you might have also noticed it is in kilometers. Nothing I can really do about that unless I wanted to take apart the housing. We'll just leave it. I'm not super bothered by it. I know that this is 60 miles an hour and this is 100 miles an hour. Keep it between these two. That's it. Easy job done. Couple fundamental differences that I have to work out are we have a bracket that we have to adapt between this spacing to that spacing. One critical difference between those two motorcycles. The Nighthawk CB750A has one terminating plug with 9 contactors inside. Don't worry about that. The CB750 F2, if we turn her over, has 2 terminating connectors with a total of, well, including these wires, I think it's 13. So, all of that being said, I have to cut and splice the harness. And I have gone through and I have done the generic, the easy, I've labeled them. If you want to look at my notes, pause. The easy wires and then the hard wires where it is a 50-50 shot on which one might be it. Now, that is all laid out. The next step really is cutting and splicing. So let's get to it. All right, so I got 2 wires done. I will show you my progress right now. Let me zoom out a hair. So you can see I've connected this is the common power, and this is the signal for the high beam. Yeah, high beam, that's what it is. And it's not the prettiest job, but I'm not one of those guys that tries to hide how crap I am at something. But those wires are not separating. And that's all I really care about. They aren't coming apart. So I will update you guys when I get all of them sizzled up and then we'll test it out on the bike and see if it works. See you then. All right, so I don't know how well this is going to demonstrate, but I got the loom all fixed and soldered back together, hopefully. This is kind of a dry run to see if it works. I've got a battery tender. It's 25 watts, so I'm not going to kill anything, but I've got a screwdriver with a clip. This pin right here, the closest corner to me, is the power pin that I need to hit, and the one below that is the tach signal. So let's see if we can make both of those work to show you. So, gently, gently. Whoa. There, look at that. So the lights work. Awesome. And now if we go hit the tach, there it is. Awesome. So, job done. These should go back onto the bike. Awesome. So I've got lovely camera woman behind the camera, so I have a free hand here. But first trial on the bike. Let's see. Hey, look at that. Not only does the oil light light up because it's not on, and the neutral light lights up, but the back light is up. Let's see if it starts. Hey, and the tach works. Hey, and the oil light went out. That's a success. So, next up, let's make a little bracket to adapt this to that. All right, so I'm out from the cold, back inside here at my editing station. And when I test fit the gauges, one thing I noticed was, and it's going to prevent me from fully installing them today, one thing I noticed is that the speedometer cable, as the gauges are a bigger unit, I can't get them low enough to the factory position. So I've ordered a speedometer cable extension. I only need about that much. I ordered a 6-inch extension, so that should be overkill. Hopefully it's not too big, but that'll be here in a couple weeks. So I'll finish that video then, but really proud of that. I mean, that's crazy, you know? It's not a complete ending, but that being said, we definitely did take some Aliexpress gauges and make them work. So I think that's something proud, and I think that's pretty rad. Awesome. I will catch you guys in the next one. Have fun.